What's happening, Shredder Nation? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to episode number 113 of Living the Shredder Life. I'm your host, Coach Jesse, and tonight I am joined by another amazing member of Shredder Nation, as we like to call it, Liz Weber. Liz, welcome to the call. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Jesse. I appreciate it too.
100%. So I met Liz a couple weeks ago. She came on our Wednesday call, our other Wednesday call, where we do, shorter testimonials. And every other week, my mind's just blown, right? It's been almost 3 years of doing this, and I still get surprised. I still get excited. I still feel like a little kid in a candy shop because for me, Liz, getting to hear people's enthusiasm about, oh my God, something finally worked. Oh my God, I'm feeling better. Oh my God, my life's changing. Oh my God, this is what I do this for. Like, this is literally what I live for. When I had my transformation years back now, I remember that shift of like feeling like a zombie human, literally, right? Even though I did the so-called right things, and then all of a sudden making that connection and like everything just like fired off in my body. And I was like, holy shit, I don't know what's going on right now, but I like this. I like this a lot. And I want to live like this every day of my life, because this is a much better way to live, right? Without pain, without brain fog, right? Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh.
Can you?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I turned 40 last year, so
yeah,
that was looming before I started ERShred last July. And I'm a health professional by background, bachelor's degree in exercise physiology. So it's not like I know how to do things and why I do things right and all that good stuff. But it's a struggle, like the daily challenges of life and the stressors and all of that just get in the way. And it can be a lot easier to just not make the right choices.
For sure.
And it's a spiral. And so, I knew that I needed to change something, and I've tried other things in the past. I'd done Weight Watchers from time to time, and I, would exercise a bunch for a while, but change my diet and, doing all these different things that really didn't get me anywhere. And then had a good friend, who'd been doing isogenics for quite a while. And I think I finally just hit the rock bottom and said, no, I need to do something differently. And I got introduced to ERShred, and it was, challenging, but probably the easiest thing I've ever done.
I like that. Okay.
It's challenging, but to start change the way you eat, like it just made sense. And it was really, it was so simple. I was less choices, less decisions. And so I think from the perspective of that, like they say that, make your decisions easier, make simple thing, like pick things and make them easy. So like, this is what I'm eating. I'm eating meat, shakes a day. And if I'm hungry, I'm having, here's my list of things: eggs, sausage sticks, bacon, jerky, whatever. But like, that's what you're doing, and you do it.
Yeah. I think, man, there's a lot that you just kind of like threw out there, and I'd love to unpack some of it because I think there's so much value. If people didn't catch it, so Liz said Liz, tell everybody again, you have what was your major and what do you do?
My bachelor's degree is in exercise physiology. So I started my career in healthcare working like in cardiac rehab, and in cardiac testing. So dealing with heart patients, and, encouraging people to eat right and exercise and do all the good stuff. And then I went back for my master's degree. I have my master's in healthcare administration. So I went to the office, to the administrative side of things for about 4 years. And there's a lot of stress in that area.
For sure.
So did that, and then really missed taking care of patients. So now I'm back taking care of cardiac patients again. And so, so my background gives me, I have all of the knowledge and all of the understanding.
But well, that's why I wanted to highlight it, because I think this is great. I think that you work in the cardiac field, and here you are, a huge proponent now of, let's eat, not just any, but let's eat high quality,
Absolutely.
bioavailable, nutrient dense superfoods, which we
Mhm.
now have come to realize is things like, grass fed, pasture raised, meat, beef, red meat, things that we once thought was the reason we had heart disease. That's now since been really disproven by really credible research and science. I mean, we ain't talking about you're just like run of the mill, stuff here. I mean, we're talking like major publications now. So I think that's amazing.
Yep.
And I also, I just want to applaud you as well, because I found, I know when I'm off my game, it puts me in this weird space being a so-called health professional, right? Like, I mean, studying certifications, nutrition, and I think it's crazy because you and I learned the same stuff I'm sure you did, right? Like
Mhm.
I was taught from those same books. Those same books that I now know are primarily created and developed and published by pharma.
Mhm.
It's really pharmaceutical driven when you really start to, like, when you fully get it, right? And maybe you're coming to this realization too now, but it's like when you fully look at the big spectrum of this, you're like, holy crap, like I can literally see the dots connected now. And at one point it makes me really upset and really mad because, like you, I've wasted thousands of hours and thousands of dollars
Mhm.
on nonsense, right? When it
Yeah.
could have been so simple. And I thought I was doing the right thing. And I taught so many other people that way too. And it's like,
Mhm.
you feel this like guilt in the same way. And it's like, well, I only knew what I knew, right? Like I was doing that and then I learned. So I just think that's really powerful that you're coming from that field. You've
Mhm.
got to see the client side, the administrative side, so you're really kind of bringing that wealth of knowledge through all of that. And that's why I'm really so excited to get your take on all of this too. So it's really cool. So if you don't mind, share with people, one, where are you from?
Rockford, Michigan, which is just north of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And that's where you grew up as well?
I grew up more rural than that. I grew up in a small, like, farming town,
Oh,
uh,
cool.
further north of where I'm at
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, farming, you were obviously in touch with the animals, in touch with the garden, in touch with the land, in touch with the soil, right? Like that's how you grew up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We did.
Yeah.
4-H was huge in our area. So we raised a lot of animals for that. I showed
Yeah.
horses and raised pigs and chickens and turkeys and all that kind of good stuff. And, you know, took our animals to fair and
Yeah.
did all, did all that good fun stuff.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
And what
So,
kind of,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just
No, no,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
with regards to, like, our animals, like, we raised them with the intent of knowing they were food, they were fuel. We fed them
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You one in particular, I remember, uh, during our 4-H years, they started adding in what they called, this is going to sound bizarre, but a carcass class where you took your
Okay.
animal, they actually cut it open and they were judged based on how they looked on the inside. What's
Yeah.
the what's the makeup of the animal from the inside?
Mm,
Um, and then you really, like, got an insight, like, well, if I feed my pig well, their meat is high quality. Um,
mm,
and I remember doing that with my pigs, and it was like, they would also judge them in the ring from obviously live. Um, and it was always interesting to see how different animals would place judged externally, like when they were alive versus from the inside. Because the
interesting.
placings would be really different. But
Mm,
you'd walk through the butcher shop and get to see all your animals from the
yeah.
inside,
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
what made.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
What was the biggest differences that you could see from an animal that was, fed properly, got the right exposure to the outdoors versus, say, an animal that, was fed a more traditional way, so to speak?
Yeah. Definitely the animals fed well had, like, a good amount of back fat, but not too much. Like,
Okay.
because you could definitely see the animals fed more traditional ways, like, crappy. corn grains and things like that, they
Mm-hmm.
have like just an exorbitant amount of back fat. It would be so much, and the meat would be so little,
Interesting.
disproportionate. Um,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
just being able to see that from the inside, it really connects like, oh, what we feed these animals impacts the quality of the meat. And it's interesting
Mm.
about that. Like, I think about that now today, and I guess I haven't probably thought about that in 20 years. or
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's definitely resonates with where I'm at now, and the journey that I've taken the last, you know 9 months, or
Wow. Wow.
is it.
What's the kid? I have my thoughts, but I want to really make this about, I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't know we were going here today.
I
This
didn't
is why,
really never.
this is why I love not scripting these. And this is
Yeah.
why I love never even like barely talking to the person that I'm going to talk to. I
Mhm.
start talking to you way more afterwards, just fair warning.
Yeah.
Once I get, because I think it's so much better. But okay, I have like these like, you just like opened my mind wide open. Like these are my thoughts, but like now I'm talking to somebody that's like literally got to see this with their own two eyes. I would imagine this would be like a surgeon as well. When a surgeon can
Mm.
cut, if a surgeon has to do an operation and they cut into a body that, is getting their protein, is getting their exercise, is making sure their vitamins and minerals and nutrients are on point. What does the inside of that human body look like compared to somebody who's not? That's
Mhm.
the vision I'm creating, right?
Yeah.
What's the realization that you now have right now today, in like what's happening with the changes you've made, right? Obviously switching to high quality, putting in the best, taking out the garbage, and the
Mhm.
results that you're seeing in your body. Can you make a connection now between what you just shared with me to maybe what's happening with you as a human today?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a solid connection there. It makes me more aware as I'm putting things in my mouth. It's like, oh, what is this going to do? And it's also very clear, like the quality
Mm,
of foods I'm eating, because my body has changed dramatically, and
mm,
I haven't changed my physical activity at all. I'm not doing
mm-hmm,
anything different physically
mm-hmm,
than I was before.
mm-hmm,
I teach dance classes couple nights a week.
mm-hmm,
I'm a pretty active person just in general, but
mm-hmm.
I don't exercise as much as I want to or feel like I should. Which, feeling like you should, you got to kind of, that's another topic. Like, don't beat yourself up when you don't do things don't have time for. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like, I feel like it definitely makes me more mindful, and it reminds me that the products I'm purchasing, they should be fed high quality food to make that meat high quality. I want to feed my body high quality meat so that I
Right.
know I'm my insides are as best as they can be, that
Yeah.
I'm as healthy as I can be. I
Yeah.
definitely feel like last summer, before I jumped on this bandwagon, I had like my annual physical and my blood work. My cholesterol has always been really good. I haven't really had a problem with that. I've always joked over the years, like, oh, I wish my cholesterol would end up being bad. Maybe it would motivate me to not, you know,
Yeah.
be better.
Yeah.
But last
Yeah.
summer, my C was up a little bit. And so
Okay.
oh, your A1C is kind of creeping up there. And I know what A1C is. Like, I deal in healthcare. I know what that
Tell
means.
people, tell people what that is in case somebody doesn't know.
Yeah, yeah. So your A1C is your 3-month average of your daily blood sugars. And so as that number creeps up, it indicates that your daily blood sugar on average is higher than it should be. And
Mm-hmm.
especially for like diabetics,
Mm-hmm.
it means a lot, because if you're not managing and controlling your blood sugars, your average on daily is that's going to creep up over time. And
Yeah.
so
What
I
happens? What happens when somebody loses control of that? Like, what does that lead to?
well, I mean, depending on your personal levels, but I mean, eventually means you end up type 2 diabetic, and your insulin resistance is,
Yeah.
horrible. And yeah,
Yeah.
you end up in diabetes. Weight gain, I mean, I feel that's probably why my weight has always just kind of crept up and crept up and crept up over
Mm-hmm.
the last 4, 5,
Mm-hmm.
6, 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
You just kind of watch it creep and creep. And so I knew I didn't want to end up, as a diabetic. I didn't want to go there. Not being, trying to feel like 40, turning 40 is okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely want to be 40 and diabetic. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that get, they fall into that, right? It's like, for some reason we have this like persona that, we hit 40 and it's like, we're over the hill, right? We heard that before. We're over the hill. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know if I agree with that. You know
no,
what I mean? Like, I don't know if I agree with that so much. I know I was determined to not, to hit that running. So that's a fascinating connection that you've been able to make. I mean, I'm grateful for it. I'm sure other people are too, because wow, I mean, to think of it that way, you know what I mean? Like now when you look like the animal, right? And why is that so important? Because guys, like if you're choosing a high quality animal, like Liz said, that is then being transferred to you, right? If you're just eating poor quality and everything else, like that's not going to work. And what she described to you, the differences in the fat, why is that a big deal? Well, if you understand, why is fat so dangerous? Why is excess fat so dangerous on a human? Because fat is a aggressive hormone ick substance. Fat is not, it doesn't just sit there and be lazy. Like it's lazy in the amount of calories it will burn a day, but it is not lazy in the way that it is just wreaking havoc on every hormone system inside the body, on every function inside the human body. And like Liz said, this is why it's so dangerous. I'm so glad you brought this up, Liz, so we can make these points for people. Like, this is why, like, yes, okay, I want to lose weight. Yes, okay, I want to feel better. Those are all amazing, okay? But at the end of the day, I feel, and you could be mad at me for saying this, people, but I'm just going to say it how it is, like I always do. It is detrimental to your health. You are literally setting yourself up for disease. You are setting yourself up for a lower expectancy of life. And not just that, but quality of life as well. So like, for anybody who cares and loves and gives to everybody else, but forgets themselves, like you're taking away from that because the fat, like the back fat on a pig to the muscle, like why is that so important? Because if that pig has so much more fat, I just told you, it changes hormones, it changes the quality of the meat, and it changes the quality of the human body, right? And it's going to throw things out of portion. Everything has to be in balance. Nature is this perfect balance of microorganisms to poop to animals to regeneration. And when you start to think of that, like, guys, that's what we are, right? Like Liz, people forget, like we're 100 trillion little circles where we're even more bacteria. So it's like when you start, like we're really connected. And when you start to piece these, like I hope people really, I mean, I have lights going off everywhere, but I want to keep going with this. But I hope people really grasped the depth of what you just connected, because wow, it's probably one of the most powerful things that I think have honestly been shared on here. And if you guys want to learn more about blood sugar, episode number 112, go search it on YouTube, go into our group. Me and Susan just did an amazing chat about that, my last session here 2 weeks ago, so you guys can go find it there. So Liz, how did you get into healthcare in the first place? I'm always curious to know. I know you grew up on the farm. Obviously, you were connected with all of that, but like, what kind of steered you in the direction of like exercise physiology? Like, how does somebody like be like, oh, I want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. My mom's a nurse, so I've grown up with a family member in healthcare for, obviously forever. And then when I was looking at, courses in college or majors to pick in college, I was originally going to go for physical therapy. That was what I wanted to do. And so exercise physiology was just one of the list of recommended majors that they said is a good one to start with to get you into PT. So I started down that road. And I enjoyed I've always enjoyed science. Science has always been my thing. And so just as I was working through my my undergrad, I really got into, I really loved I didn't realize, I guess, in the beginning what exercise physiology was going to entail. But
Yeah.
as I learning about it, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing.
Pretty
Um,
cool. Yeah.
I always enjoyed like weight training over running and,
Hmm.
cardio stuff in
Hmm.
general. So just learning the muscles and how the body works, and all of those, the nitty gritty about that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. And then,
Mm.
got into some of my more PT, um, prereqs. And then I was really kind of thinking like, maybe, I mean, PT sounds fun, but this stuff is like pretty amazing. I was just
Yeah.
really, but so I stuck with it, and then decided, I'm just going to do this. This cardiology stuff is pretty amazing. And,
Yeah.
um, learning about, specifically about the heart, and understanding all of that and how all of that works was just entirely fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, and to this day, I mean, I've been working in cardiology now for 18 years, and I still, like, I learn something new all the time about the field I'm in. And, so it's just constantly stimulating, constantly interesting, and
Yeah.
educational. And that's
Yeah.
a for me. Like, I always need something to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being greedy here, but my hope is as you continue to break the barrier and keep smashing your goals, and I would imagine the other people that you're surrounded with in this profession,
Mhm.
it's going to be really hard for them not to notice, right? When body composition changes and attitude and life and the
Mhm.
the, the tone of someone's skin and
Mhm.
and just the whites of their eyes light up, when
Mhm.
you see that, it's hard to be like, girl, what the hell, right? Because
Yeah.
even when you're educated in this field, unless you've taken the deep dive route that Liz is on now and I've been on for the last, decade of really understanding that food is a powerful medicine and it needs to be respected.
Mhm.
In most cases, it literally creates better results than most medications. Got to understand that most medications come from the
Mhm.
ground. They're fungus. Well, no shit. Like, no wonder why it's so powerful. Like, so if we're pulling that from them, I wonder if we can get more from them itself, right? You start to have these all things. I'm hoping that you then become the teacher, and you can then, because I'm scared. I'm scared, when somebody goes in the hospital, Liz, and they have
Mhm.
a heart problem. It makes me very nervous. The diet that they're fed after open heart surgery, or the one that they're fed leading up to heart surgery, um, it's kind of crazy, right? When we think
Yeah.
about like what we're pumping into these people that we're trying to take care of, and what I now know, it's doing the actual opposite, right?
Mhm.
It's raising blood sugars, it's making things go out of whack, it's not creating balance. What's been some of the biggest realizations you've kind of, what you were doing
Mhm.
and what you thought was right, to now that you've been on this journey since last summer? What have been your biggest aha moments when it comes to, because I feel like a lot of people are still stuck, right? I mean, gosh, you were trained in it, and
Mhm.
you've been doing this for 18 years, and it's still kind of eluded in some way. I'm not saying that in any negative way, but it did, right?
Yeah.
It eluded in some way, and you kind of fell into the standard way of living, which is what most people are doing. And that makes me scared, right? So what are some of those big ahas, if you can pull some out that maybe we can kind of help people with?
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing that really resonated with me was just getting back to reading the nutrition labels and understanding what's in the food, especially
Mm,
the processed food, because processed food is super easy. You can grab a
yeah.
box off the shelf of granola bars or potato chips or
Yeah.
whatever, and you can throw it down the hatch, and you won't be hungry late after that. But what is it doing to you on your insides?
Right.
What's the product? And
Right.
so, and I think there's probably people think that, like, oh, eating healthier, high quality foods is going to be challenging. I mean, it is a little challenging. You do have to read the labels. You've got to pay
Hmm.
attention what you're doing. But
Mm-hmm.
once you figure those things out, it's pretty simple. And it's not that hard once
Yeah.
you get past it. But it's the thought of, oh, it's easier to just grab that prepackaged, or I don't have time to cook my meal. But there's
Yeah.
options there. I mean, there's other things, and there's a lot of, I mean, there's just a lot going on in the
Yeah.
food industry. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many options. So finding the right ones, the best ones,
Yeah.
because you can sign up for meal planning and other things like that. There's all those meal delivery services, but
Yeah.
what's the quality of the product?
Yeah.
Uh,
Do
what?
you get tricked into there's this new wave I'm seeing of quote unquote healthy packaged products, right? Like there's all
Mm,
these keto bars and keto
oh,
ice cream and low carb bread and
mhm,
and and all these companies, really
mhm.
8 of them, by the way, just so everybody knows. That's what controls the food industry. You think it's a lot more, but it's really 8. They are creating to demand, right? They're creating to, I mean, from a business standpoint, it's genius. I mean, let's not knock it, right? Like, let's
Right.
just be real. If you were a business and you had to report to shareholders, your main goal is to make bigger profits than the last quarter and
Mhm.
to make your stuff more worthy of buying. Like you're trying to get the dollar, right? So from that perspective, bravo. But what we're doing is we're falling into these things. Did you fall into that trap where you found yourself like thinking you were eating healthy, but
Um,
really now it maybe wasn't so much so? Or
Maybe with some things, yeah, because
okay.
I would say, certain things might say, oh, this is a healthy, um, uh, like you look at it, something that's a keto something or other,
Yeah, like a healthy cracker or a healthy potato,
but
like something like that, right?
as inflammatory oil. So maybe it's made with, like soybean oil or canola oil and not an avocado oil or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All the natural flavors that are in there, or the
Yeah.
different, preservatives that might be in there that they don't, that they, it doesn't make it not keto, but it doesn't make it necessarily very good for you. I mean,
Right, right.
I kind of is like back when everything was, oh, buy the low fat version, but they just chucked a bunch of extra sugar in it.
Right.
Like, buy your
Right.
fat sour cream, buy your full fat butter. Don't buy your low fat yogurt. Like
Right.
they just
Right.
added, a couple tablespoons of sugar to cover it up.
Right.
Um,
Right. Buy
yeah,
your whole milk if you drink
buy
milk. Like
that.
anything else is a waste
Yeah,
of everything.
get
Anyways,
your
okay.
latte, full milk,
Yes.
skim milk,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
all the sugar that comes
Yeah.
along with that.
I don't want to lose this point, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, it's
I think you're actually sharing something very valuable that I just want to point out to people. It's not about not doing. And I want, this is what I'm getting from you. This is what I'm receiving. It's
mm-hmm,
not about not living. It's not about not having a latte. It's not about not, having a potato chip, because I'll share with you right now, there's a brand called Siete,
mm,
and it's a phenomenal brand. And when my little guy wants a potato chip, it's cassava flour, it's
mm-hmm,
avocado oil. There's 5 ingredients, and they're all single ingredients that are whole foods, right? So technically that is a processed food. And I think we get confused about this too. There's processed. If you cut an apple, you're technically processing the apple. Now there's different stages. There's the whole apple, there's the cut apple, right? There's the apple sauce, there's the apple juice, and then there's the apple gummy flavor candy. That's
mm-hmm.
ultra processed, right? So it's when we get into those ultra processed, no nutrient content whatsoever, eating those out of excess, that's when things can get hairy. But
Yeah.
what Liz is sharing is like, this isn't about like, I think sometimes, Liz, when people go to, in this world, we've made it all or nothing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the biggest things. And you've pointed out in the beginning, this is so simple. I think that's one of the superpowers of ERShred, is that it is so simple. And life is a son of a bitch. And I'm just gonna say it how it is. Like, it's challenging, right?
Absolutely.
Like life, kids, work, responsibilities, being able to breathe. Oh, now you want me to meditate. Now you want me to exercise. Now you want, like, my God, you know what I mean? Like, how in the world? So the simpler that we can keep things,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the power, is that don't worry about all the other stuff. Like all the nuances of health, they play a part. And this is what I've come to realize too, is that all the nuances play a part. We're in this cold therapy now, and we're doing sauna, and people are going to the hyperbaric chamber, and where now listen, those are phenomenal. They are phenomenal, and there's so much research. But if you ain't walking 5 minutes a day yet, and you're still processing sugar every day, all day, from breakfast to sleep, let's start there first. Let's start there first. And it's not sexy. It's not like this glamorous thing. And I think that's what throws people off, is like, but you can still live life. Like it's simple switches. I think that's been your realizations, right? Is that it's just simple switches that make the world of a difference. It doesn't have to be crazy.
No, it doesn't have to be crazy. And you think it does. For whatever reason, we always think it does. It has to be something, this huge thing, but it's not. It's simple. It's like, oh, I've got eggs. That's great. I've got some good quality organic turkey meat. Perfect. Have a snack.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the people that say, oh, like you're eating the same thing every day? Isn't it get sickening? Like you're drinking those shakes, you're having meat. Like what's your feeling on that?
I mean, I do struggle with that for sure, because there's like variety is the spice of life, they say. But on the flip side, just like, I mean, I've been eating like 2 to 4 eggs a day for like 8 months now. I'm not tired of them. They taste great. I love them. Yeah. And I feel great when I eat right. So, but do I still live life and have a great time with my family when we're going to go tubing down the river? Sure. I'll eat some chips, but I know that like the things like that, the good things that I have found that my body likes, that I feel great when I eat, like that makes me want to eat it more. Like it doesn't deter me from.
I love that.
That makes me want to eat that more, because I know I feel good. I know I'm going to sleep good. The change.
So the outcome of how you feel is more powerful than the temptation of what you would get from making a bad choice. That's what keeps you in check. Did I hear that right? Or?
Yeah, I would say so, because I know through going through all of this, I've definitely started to like hear my body say to me, ew, I don't like that.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. That's
but
awesome.
I do like this. And so you start those pieces together and you go, okay, I know, like if I eat this way, I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel good. I know if I eat this way, I'm going to feel pretty crappy tomorrow. Yeah. And I feel like it's hard to get rid of all the cravings. Like I have a big sweet tooth, and that was like the one thing going in I was super worried about.
Yeah.
But doing the first 11-day shred, like I had no cravings at all.
Wow.
And then it was amazing. I was like, why am I?
Did that surprise you?
It did. It really did, because I'm the person, I eat a meal and I'm like, where's that little bit of sweet right after my meal? Where's that chocolate? Like, where's the sweet after my meal? Always. I've been like that forever. It's probably genetic. Dad's still that way. Going into the first 11 days, like I did not crave it at all. And I don't know if it was, is it 80% mental, where I was like, no, I have to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to trust the process and just do it. But it was, I was very surprised that I didn't have any of those sweet cravings. I found as I allowed myself to have a little bit here and there, the cravings creep back in.
Okay.
I feel like in the last 9 months, I've started to get a better understanding of like, what are my thresholds? What's my window of tolerance for certain things? I've definitely identified a number of symptoms that I'm like, oh, I just realized if I eat this, this is what happens. This is how I feel. In particular, like being sweaty at night, like night sweats. Like I'm turning 40. Is this menopause? Like this is only 40. But I can definitely tell like tolerance of alcohol and tolerance of sugar. Like there's a certain amount. If it's too much, I am like a hot, sweaty mess all night long. it's just a weird symptom. I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
hi.
Yeah.
And it's nothing I
Yeah.
never thought of before. I probably would have gone to my doctor and been put on some drugs or something for early
Mm,
cause. Who knows? Um,
mm,
but yeah, no, it's just been really interesting to start to listen more to my body and figure out what is good, what I like and what I don't, what it likes, what it doesn't like, and what
yeah.
serves, what doesn't. And
Yeah.
that, if you allow it, it helps motivate you and keep you, on the right
Mm.
path.
Yeah. Describe people, the word empowerment is thrown around a lot, and it has been since like our first shred finished way back, 3 years ago.
Mhm.
People go, man, I just feel so empowered. And that's kind of like, that's the word that came to mind when you were just talking about the control that you now have in life. And I think that's so powerful for people to know. I want to share something if I can and be
Mhm.
truly transparent. I literally struggle with temptation every day. And I've been pretty dedicated for the last 15 years of my life, and I'm going to tell you guys, I've had a week and a half from hell. We won't get into all of that, but I mean, it's been issues with my dog and stuff. And, yesterday I went shopping to get our groceries, and we're usually super good, and we plan it all out, and they pick it and we pick it up, and we stick to our basics. And, I know that I can't keep certain things in my house, because if I do, they don't stand a chance. Like
Mhm.
ice cream. If it's in my freezer, it doesn't stand a chance. No matter how disciplined, no matter how dedicated, no matter, even though I know that when I eat it, it is going to royally jack up my blood sugars. And that is the opposite of what I know I want to do for
Mhm.
long-term sustainable health. However, I will still eat the hell out of ice cream. Yesterday, I was like, you know what? I've been, for the last like 4 weeks of picking up groceries, Liz, I just wanted something. I didn't know what I wanted, but I just wanted something, right? One of the things that we call our indulgence, and it's sourdough bread.
Mhm.
I would suggest if anybody eats bread, you either eat sourdough or sprouted bread, because of the fermentation process. And we love just a nice, small, thin slice of it, nothing crazy, but it's enough to take us from not eating everything else, right? Like if I
Yeah.
can have that instead of like a bag of chips or this or that or whatever, I'm going to pick that, right? And that satisfies me. So we do that. But, yesterday I was at the counter. I was like, you know what? I haven't done this in a long time. Like I bought a chocolate croissant and I ate the hell out of that thing, and I had zero guilt. And I
Mhm.
went, I literally went out to my truck to load my groceries and did 10 push-ups, just because I know that if I stimulated the muscle, I would take the excess glucose and load it into my muscle versus letting it stay in my blood. So those are the nuances that when you get to certain levels, like you can add in. I would not recommend doing that now. It's not worth it. It's not a make or break, but it was for me.
Yeah.
But just so you guys know, like, people think it's so funny when they come to eat with me or whatever, they're like, oh, is it okay if I get this? I'm like, dude, you get whatever you want. Like, I don't care what you eat. But it's weird that because I do what I do, people do that. But like, I just want people to know, like, I struggle with that all the
Oh,
time.
absolutely.
And it's normal. It's normal. And I think what Liz is sharing is so powerful that I really hope you pick up on it, because again, one, it's not about perfection. It's not about, stripping everything away from life. But when you start to live like this and I think everybody wants to feel amazing every day. I
Mhm.
think everybody wants energy every day. I don't think anybody wants to struggle. I don't think anybody wants to suffer from brain fog. Like I think we get to a point where we think that it's part of life and we accept it. But
Mhm.
in my heart, I truly don't think anybody wants to live that way every day and feel like crap every day. So, and then when you start to have these little connections, right? You start to go, wait a minute, like this is my choice. Like if I want to do this and I want to drink, I know that probably for the next 48 hours, I'm probably going to feel like crap, right? And that's another thing that I know too, Liz, is that I knew when I ate that yesterday,
Mhm.
inevitably, because my sugar spiked, even though I balanced them a little bit with my push-ups,
Mhm.
I knew that I was going to have a 20-minute time period that I was going to want more of that same stuff.
Mhm.
And that's the power. That's the empowerment, right? Is that I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat this. I know I'm going to have this time. I just need to get past that and then eat some more protein and I'm going to be good to go. Right. So I had that plan in place. I felt more comfortable. It wasn't a punishment now. And I literally enjoyed every freaking bite of it. The grease tasted weird in my mouth, but I still enjoyed it. But that's the empowerment, right? Is that we now know, like you just described, you know that if you do this, you're going to feel awesome or you're not. And that is like, I mean, how many people don't have that control? Could you say that you had that control before last summer?
Oh, no way. No,
that's pretty powerful.
Slow, because I had been putting on weight, and you look back at your old pictures and you go, gosh, I wish I was that fat again in that picture from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Fat, but now I'm fatter. And you do that, and you feel like you have no control. You spiral. It's the shame, it's the guilt, and it's all of that, which is why, I think the simplicity of the eating helps you and opens you up to being able to work on the mental side of things, because it's 80-90% mental. Like you do all these choices and what you are thinking that drives what you put in your mouth and what you eat.
Yeah. I'm so happy you said that, because it's so true. This is, we psych ourselves out that the eating is going to be hard. Am I going to have time? Am I going to be able to do this? Well, guess what you're doing? You're playing a mental game with yourself. There you go. Like all the things that you're just saying of why you can or what you think you can't do, like your mind is out of control. And a lot of that has to do with hormones. A lot of that, if you look at the science, it's directly connected. You have a nerve that goes from your gut to your brain. It's called your second brain for a reason. And when you can control that and create that balance, remember, Liz and I told you that you were basically 100 trillion circles and even more bacteria. So you're little circles and you're a walking petri dish. And when you anger those things and they're not in harmony together, you're going to feel out of check. And there's a lot to that, but if you can keep it that simple and realize, let's just keep things simple. Don't worry about all the big fancy science words and medical words, and just keep it that simple. Keep those guys happy and you're going to be happy. It can really be that simple, can't it, Liz? People don't have to geek out on science like we do to understand the simplicity, right? I think that's one of our superpowers. If we can take that complicated shit and make it super simple for people, that's where we can create massive change. And I think that's what we're doing with the ERShred too. I think that's the beauty of this whole thing, right? Is we don't have to get into all that, but we have that too. For people that geek out on it, we have that too. So you can dive into that too. So tell me now, gosh, I could talk to you. I could talk to you forever. There's so much that we could talk about. Where were you? Where were you at? What's happened so far? Let's give people the sledgehammer. What if you were to say, pre-ERShred, I was feeling, I was this. Fill that in for me, if you don't mind.
Pre-ERShred, I was feeling like I was not in control of my life. I was feeling like I was never going to lose any weight ever. I was just going to keep gaining and gaining and gaining. And I was feeling like I wasn't going to be able to do the things I wanted to do with my life. Like I was, teaching my children's dance classes. It was like, how am I going to keep doing this? This is something that I love to do, but I can't, I'm not going to be able to physically do this. And it was definitely the point of like, if I don't do something different, I'm going to lose these things that I love. And that wasn't acceptable for me. That wasn't going to be an option.
Yeah.
So,
that's powerful. I mean, I'm sure that tugs on the brain, that tugs on the thoughts as a mom of not just what you love, but like you're doing this with your kids and memories and like, right?
I dance studio. I don't have any kids of my own.
They're your kids. They're your kids. They're your kids. I know they are, because you're a teacher, and that's what teachers are just that special like that. I get what you mean, but it's like, it pulls, it really, I mean, that affects other parts of life too, right?
Oh,
Like it comes home with you. These thoughts don't leave. And again, mental, mental,
hmm
mental. That's why our community is so important, because you need a place of like-minded people, of people that were where you're at and they've broke through, and they're going to turn around and reach down, and they're going to give you a hand, and they're going to say, here's how I did it. Use it if you will. Here's what I can do. Here's what we can give you. We're going to pick you up. We're going to cheer for you. Awesome. Okay. Now, so that was pre-ERShred.
yep,
Post-ERShred, last summer to now,
yeah.
what's happened?
I've lost about 40 pounds. I
Wow.
still, I want to go more, but I'm trying to not focus on like the number on
Oh,
the
wait.
scale.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Um,
I
because
like that. That's important.
well, and I found like through losing those 40 pounds, I've definitely gone through some tangents or gone off on some tangents. Like there was a stretch where I was like incessantly checking the scale. And then
Mm-hmm.
what does that do to your thoughts and what are you focusing on? And then it makes it, then there's a lot of guilt when you eat something, when you try to enjoy
Mm-hmm.
like with a friend and have a drink,
Mm-hmm.
that layers on so much guilt if you're like constantly watching the scale. So then I gave up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm weighing myself like once a month, a couple weeks after my period, because that does lots of crazy stuff to the scale too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, I went through this phase where I was like, oh, I really like, I want to make sure I'm sleeping. Like, what is my sweet sleep health? Da, da, da. So I was wearing my watch at night and watching my hours of sleep, and like, and then
Mm-hmm.
I was getting obsessed with that. And it's like, just stop, just like go to
Mm-hmm.
bed when you're tired,
Mm-hmm.
wake up and live your day. Like, and if you need a nap, take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Stop focusing on it. So, that was, so I found myself like going through these phases where it's like getting a little obsessive, like trying to latch on to
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
to track as opposed to just like living my life and listening to my body. And so I think I've kind of
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten through that quite a bit. But I've definitely hit the point where like I lost the 40 pounds. I've been maintaining that 40-pound loss for probably 3-4 months now. Um,
Incredible.
and I've proven to myself, like, I feel like at this point, like I've proven to myself, like I lost it, I can maintain it now. Like I'm living life and I'm maintaining. But now I'm like hitting my next phase where I'm ready to kind of like jump back in and like, okay, now I
Mm-hmm.
really want to push through and I want to lose more because,
Mm-hmm.
I do know that I'm not at my optimal health yet. So I know I want to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's incredible. Besides the number,
yeah.
what other, you had said I wasn't in control of my life. What other things think about? Have you noticed like what we call non-scale
Oh,
victories? Anything around?
um,
What are some of the things that have come to light?
yeah. I mean, absolutely, like sleeping way better. Um, uh, uh, it was one fun non-scale victory, which I forgot to grab my ring. I have my grandmother's wedding ring that my grandpa gave me after she passed away, and I've had it in a
Mm-hmm.
jewelry box for for many years because I just couldn't
Mm-hmm.
wear it because it didn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
But now that fits again, and so it's really fun that I
Awesome. Yeah.
wear it again. So that's one
That's so awesome.
like yeah, like
That's huge. Yeah.
when I realized that, I was like, oh, I can wear grandma's ring again. That's really like it really makes me feel like I've like that's the special thing for me. But
Yeah.
buying new clothes and being like realizing like, oh, all these old clothes that I like, they're all too big. I have to buy new
Yeah.
clothes. Kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And just being able to do more, like just enjoying the children's dance classes that I teach, being able to get down on the ground with them and play with them during their classes and not be short of breath and not be like exhausted in the night.
Mm-hmm.
I work full time, so there are days
Mm-hmm.
where I'm working, 7 to 4, and then I'm at the studio for a couple 2
Mm-hmm.
hours, and it's like, it was getting to the point where I was exhausted, um, just from doing those things, and it's like if I'm gonna have to teach again, like this is gonna be really hard. I'm gonna be so tired, and
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm not like it's so much easier to just do those things that I've wanted that I do.
Yeah.
So I think
That's awesome.
that's a huge realization when you're like, okay, this is working. These things that I love to do, I can do, and I can do them with ease, a lot easier
Yeah.
than for.
Yeah. That's powerful. I
It,
mean,
it keeps the motivation.
yeah, for sure. And I think, the, I love how you shared the stages. I love how you shared the obsessions in certain things, because these are things that, like, you're not the only one, Liz. I mean, I've coached
Yeah.
for many years, and I'm telling you, pretty much almost every single person that's on this health journey goes through these phases, including myself many years ago, right? Like, you
Mhm.
get super hyper focused on one thing, thinking that one thing is like the all or nothing,
Yeah.
right? And again, we can say, oh, that's media, that's magazine, whatever it is, but that's what we do. And when you really start to understand, like, where Liz is coming into now, and I'm so happy for you that I mean, I can sense it just in the way that you're speaking about full life and all the different pieces of it. And I'm like, this is beautiful. Like, for me, if you were a health coaching client of mine and we started back last summer, you sharing this part of life with me now, I'm like, okay, like, you really don't need me anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need me as your, in your pocket. Like, you don't
Yeah.
need me on speed dial. Like, you can make the choices. You understand the difference. You know that it's not all or nothing. It's not just about sleep. It's not just about this. It's how can we create the balance that's best for me, and what's going to help my life become better. And you're sharing all of that, right? Like, every aspect of your life, of what you do, from your work to the way you show up every day, to the way you're recovering, to how you're showing up as a teacher, to the energy. And it's only going to get better. Like, if that's 40 pounds and you want more, can you
Yeah.
imagine, like, what's next summer going to look like? Like,
Yep.
where are we going to be if we do this again next summer? Where's Liz going to be? You know what I mean? And if she just keeps making these little tiny shifts every day, they're little shifts, guys. They're little shifts every day. And she's consistent for the bigger part, right? Not perfect, consistent.
Yep.
I have no doubt, like, it's going to be a whole, like, different version of you. Like, you're here, you've shelled. It's like a hermit crab. You know what I mean? Like, as we grow, we shed our own shell and we find a bigger one. And it's
Yep.
like, now you've shedded that baby shell. I look at it, right? And
Yep.
now you're here, right? And now you're going to be growing, and you'll have to, come into more. And it's so cool, because now you're in this stage, and I'm like, man, this is amazing. Like, now you're talking about, okay, I'm here. I've proved it to myself. I built my confidence. Now, because everything's working right, I'm like, wait a minute. I did this. What else can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And you never thought like that. It wasn't,
Oh,
it was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna. And now it's like, well, wait a minute. What else can I do? That's
yeah.
a big, drastic quality of life shift, in my opinion,
Yeah.
in one summer, you know what I mean? From summer to
Yep.
summer. I mean, that's
Yep.
pretty remarkable, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, when I think about it, like, I don't know that I've really thought about it a whole lot in this context, but yeah, when I look back on it, it's like, holy cow, like, I really did that. And I've never been, like, I'm not a terribly OCD person with certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Not like, I'm not terribly, like, I'm always pretty ambitious and I want to do things, but I'm not like one where, like, having a checklist and, like, checking things off has always been my thing. Like, I'm just kind of
Yeah.
a more free spirit. I like things to just kind of be
Yeah.
and do
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so it's different to see myself thinking, like, okay, like, I did this. This
Yeah.
is awesome. I'm not usually a big pat myself on the back kind of person, like, you know, tooting my own horn. Like, I don't do that. I toot other people's horns. Like, I like to talk other people up. I like to support other people, but, like, I'm fine. Like, I don't need the accolades. I don't like to be
Yeah.
center
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
stage. Um,
Yeah.
but it's pretty powerful. Like, it's amazing. I feel very proud that I've done what I've done so far. And I'm like, that motivates me and that makes me excited to shoot for more.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're giving yourself the credit.
It's hard to
I
do.
think
It's hard to credit.
it's really
Feel
hard to do. It's
it.
really hard to do.
It's always felt for me like it's like, I don't know, just I see other people do it and I think, oh, that's so awesome that they're amazing. Like, they share, that's so cool. like, I wish I could be like that, but it's, I don't know. I've never been that way. And it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, so I've learned that that's called the brilliance blind spot.
mm,
Think about that. You don't recognize your own brilliance.
hmm.
And we all do that to ourselves. And
Yep.
one of the things that I've come to learn through just years of self development is like, one, if you don't toot your own horn, who will?
For
And
sure.
it's, again, it's that we've been told like, oh, that's cocky. That person's cocky.
Hmm.
You can tell the difference between somebody who's playing cocky and somebody who just, exudes confidence. And I want to hang out with people that exude confidence
Absolutely.
because it's just, I mean, they'll tell you how it is. They'll be real. You don't have to shimmy around stuff. Like, this person's confident in the fact that they're not perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. But, at the same time, like, you should give yourself a pat in the back for what you're really good at, and I appreciate that it's really hard because I suffer with that same dilemma.
Hmm.
But I'm learning myself, and I think for us just to state it for people, sometimes it's, Liz, if you don't, I mean, what you did, I know we can go, oh, it's this, right? I've witnessed this so much with my own two eyes. It's remarkable what you've done. It's
Hmm.
remarkable because I'm telling you that, I mean, look at your profession, for instance.
Hmm.
You have some of the most brilliant, most educated people on the face of this planet that you surround yourself with. And yet I'd be willing to bet without even meeting them that 90% of them are struggling with their health. Is that a fair statement or am I
Probably.
off?
No, you're not off. I would agree with that.
I'm just going off of like my experience of going into doctor's offices and walking into hospitals and seeing healthcare professionals. And I coach a lot of them. So I know break rooms are not the best place and you're not managing stress well. And you're always on the go and you're just grabbing. And you're not taking care of yourself because you're taking care of everybody else. And we forget to stop for 1 second and say, wait a minute, I just freaking did that. I
Yep.
just made it through that. I just accomplished that. And if we're not building that level of praise and celebrating the stuff, we can fall into this trap of just stinking thinking, right? Where just all day, every day, we're telling ourselves everything that's not right, everything that's wrong. And while they may be true, and while they are a true presence, there's still so many other things that we can also celebrate. And if we don't celebrate those little wins, how do you ever build that into your new identity, your new character? Right.
Hmm.
So, all my clients, like, I want you to celebrate. I want you to pat yourself on the back. I want you to praise yourself because how else are we going to keep moving forward if we can't be like, yeah, I'm proud of what I just did. I wonder what else. I wonder what else. I wonder what else. Right. And it creates that new identity. So I would just encourage you as a friend, like, please don't skip that part as you continue to journey. Every little accomplishment that you
Yeah.
set as a goal and you hit, you got to celebrate yourself
Hmm.
and write it down or integrate it or go out for a dinner or whatever floats your boat, whatever your dial is,
Yep.
do that because it's who you're becoming. You know what I mean? It's the new version. Like, you're shifting that shell, right? Like, you gotta
Yep.
create that new shell for what you want, what creates your happiness. So I think it's really important. Um, I would be doing people a disservice. You're a very busy person. You just share with us, you work full time, you go to the studio for 2 hours. I hear a lot of people say, I'm busy, I can't do this. I need fast food.
Oh.
I need that convenience. I need that. Uh, Tell me, how do you make this? How do you make ERShred happen while you're busy? And what's your thoughts about that statement I just said?
I mean, ERShred isn't hard. It's easier than swinging through McDonald's, and it's way better for you, and it's cheaper. I mean, I mean, that was the thing. Like, the shakes are perfect because I am on the go.
Yeah.
So especially on the days where I'm working and then I go to the studio, so I'll have my morning shake is easy because I'm not a really big morning person. I would
Hmm.
prefer to like roll out of bed and go to work, but you
Hmm.
know, there's some things that have to happen in between there so that I'm
Yeah.
publicly presentable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
me, like having the shake in the morning is perfect. It's so easy. And then if it's a late studio night day when I don't have time to really like eat or cook something in between work and going to the studio, I'll have my lunch and then I'll have my shake for dinner. And then, snacking wise, I've found a handful of like great quality, jerkies and eggs and things like that I use as my in between snacks. And it's just easy because I don't have to think about those things. I just pack it and it's done. And I can save my brain power to make other decisions about how am I going to deal with this situation that comes up in class, or how am I going to, a parent calls with a question about something related to their kids' classes. Like I can deal with all of that stuff and not worry about what I'm eating. It's all figured out.
It's so powerful. Like if people could just understand that in itself is enough to shift your life. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that Liz has shared with you guys throughout this. Please go back. This is probably one of the most powerful ones. I'm not just saying that. Like I'm really serious. Like the things that we talked about, the realizations that we've had, the understanding that life is not perfect, the little wins along the way, the fact that it's going to take time. You're going to keep having it. You can go down different avenues, but just don't get lost. Have the realization, be real with yourself. I mean, these are all things that I've just gotten from you over this last hour. And I hope that people understand the value. I mean, I really want to do this again with you because I feel like we could take individual topics and we could kind of just open those up, especially with your knowledge of firsthand experience of seeing the clinical side, the office side, really what happens in the healthcare industry. Where are we going wrong? What can we learn? What's being taught? What's the truth? I mean, there's so many things, right, that we can dive into. I just wanted to get as much as I could out of you. And I feel like that's good. I mean, do you think is there any other topics that maybe are like on your brain that like you wish we talked about, or things that like, I missed or something?
No, I mean, I think we hit a lot of the high points. I feel like
we hit a lot. Yeah.
I had like in my head, I could see like all these different like spokes coming off of, like the base of just eating well, or, just being healthier.
I like that vision. Vision.
I can see in my head just this like matrix of all the different topics. Like, there's one.
So many.
There's so many. There's, one that sticks in my head that like putting butter in my coffee was like the weirdest thing I thought when I this is weird. Like, and I don't like, I was like the person who like had to have my flavored coffee. Like I didn't want to taste like coffee. I wanted it to taste like whatever.
Right.
But like, I was like, okay, I'm going to try this butter in the coffee thing. And I was like, oh, this is weird. And cleanse days. I'm like, all right, I'll have black coffee. I'll do it. I need something else,
Yeah.
But like I went, and then it was like, oh, I'm going to try to add a little creamer back into my coffee. But then that didn't taste really good. And then I went through this whole process of like wanting to not like buttered coffee.
Yeah.
I can't stay without a cup of coffee. Like I just, with my butter. It's just, there's just so many things that
it's delicious.
It is delicious. I will say
delicious.
I
literally just had one. I literally had another one. As I was talking to you,
right?
Every now and then I'll have one like early afternoon. 2 p.m. is my cutoff because not that I could actually process caffeine right before I go to bed. But I just learned that even if you can, it still affects your REM sleep. So then once I do that, I'm like, okay, no, thanks. Yeah.
I've been doing that for a long time, but it's just one of those little things. It's so weird, but just trusting the process and listening to your body and going, oh, wow, my body actually likes this. This is good. Okay.
Yeah.
And accept it and live it.
You've been doing this for so long now. I'll give other people a tip. I've given some people in our community this tip too, but don't do this in the beginning. Don't do this if you're just starting. Really work this for a little bit and then add this extra fat. But if you put like a high quality C8 MCT oil mixed in with your coffee and your butter, like a bulletproof version, like a true bulletproof version, it is one of the most amazing, delicious things. I mean, it fires up my dog walks every morning. That's my jam.
That
It's amazing.
a powdered Thrive Market has been a new find of ours. Like they've got a lot of fun products on there, but they
I
have,
love Thrive Market.
yeah, their powdered keto coconut creamer that's got MCT oil in it. I've been doing a little bit of that along with my butter the last couple of months, and that's been,
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. I would say I don't know what's in the creamer. I use just the straight MCT
do you?
oil.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can get that from Thrive too. It's
Oh,
actually
I'll
really
do that.
cost effective. It's like you get a huge, I think it's like a 24-ounce bottle. It's
Hmm.
C8, so you're not just getting the MCT, you're getting the higher quality version of
Nice.
all the different palm oils. Um, and it's like $40 for like this huge thing. And I just put 1 tablespoon of the liquid in my coffee with a tiny splash of Regenerative Farms, 5% whole milk, pretty much almost raw. If I could get my hands
Yep.
on that, I would. But
Right.
and that it's just so delicious. It literally gives me enough energy to fire through my workouts in the morning with ease. You know what I mean? And I go pretty hard. I go
Oh, I'm
hard. And I mean, I'm fired up, and I've already had my electrolytes, and then I have my BCAAs, with my creatine. And I mean, that's literally my morning before I can get to my smoothie bowl with my shake. And that's every morning, every day, all day, weekends included. Like it
Mhm.
just, I mean, I've never felt better in my entire life. It's crazy. It's just so crazy. So, all right, Liz, well, listen, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing all you've shared. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing your past. Thanks for sharing all your tips and tricks and the real life journey of what it's been so far. I have this feeling that there's going to be so many people that just can sense the realness from you. I mean, that's what I got from you, is just a real down to earth person that's living the life and was where she was at, where I know so many people are right now, stuck. And
Yeah.
just know that there is hope. There is a way. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be, hard. Again, it's hard in the context because you're not used to it. I think that's the hard part, honestly. But once you do it for a little bit and you create a habit out of it, what was once hard is no longer hard, right? Like I don't even think about this anymore. It's so second nature to me that it's like, this is just my life. Like, this is what I do, and for me, anything else would be weird. So that would be hard. It's funny how we
Yep.
change our definition of hard as we kind of go through processes. So, but yeah, Liz, I got a lot out of this. So I really appreciate you. I thank you for taking the time and working around things. I know you're busy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the community too. Like this, being in the Facebook group, and just like if you're doing this, like you got to get on the group, you got to participate. There's it's just it's great to find that support in even the virtual world. Like you've never
Yeah.
met. There's so many people's names on the group that I know, and I know their stories. And you find little nuggets of wisdom and inspiration from them. And if we can all just keep sharing those with each other, it's amazing.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, I think
It
like
really is.
that was a big part of it for us. We need so much more of that in the world today. I mean, that's another piece that we can fill. Not only can we give you the tracks to run on, not only can we guide you, not only can we make sure that we're giving you no bullshit information, just raw, real, and just how it is, but we can also give you a community of like-minded people. And it's one of the most interactive, positive communities that I promise you've probably seen. I mean, I've been a part of a lot of them over the years, and it's one of the things I'm really super proud of that we have. And you can go there for free at ERShutters.com, answer 3 simple questions. Tell them Liz or Jesse sent you, or whoever invited
Right.
you. Just put that down. It's that simple, and you get instant access. And there's guides, and there's documentaries, and there's books, and there's just a wealth of info. I mean, we've spent hundreds of hours at this point putting those guides together, and we keep adding to them. And our nurses, Susan provides the holistic corner. I mean, you get all of that. You get everything, right? for literally, like, you really get it for the cost of your food. That's really what it comes down to. Like, you're eating the food that you're buying, and then you get all of this extra stuff for free on top of all of it. So I hope you guys take advantage of it. Liz, I greatly appreciate you. I hope you guys check in, smash the share button. Please do me a favor, drop into the comments. Let Liz know, what tips did you get away from this? Can you relate to anything? Get on her wall, show her a follow. If you're one of Liz's friends, reach out to her. If you're on the fence, if you're thinking about this, reach out to her, because you deserve this. Like, I truly believe that you deserve this. You deserve to feel how Liz is feeling right now. You deserve to have the empowerment piece that she has, and everybody deserves to live that life. So Liz, I hope you have an amazing night. I can't wait to talk to you again, and just thank you for everything.
Yeah. Thank you too, Jesse.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. All right, guys.